Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. Today, we're taking a closer look at a company that's, well, often in the headlines, D-Wave Quantum. The big question on everyone's mind, and probably yours too, is D-Wave Quantum a good time to buy now? We're going to really unpack this fascinating company, exploring everything from its cutting-edge quantum tech to its complex financials and future prospects. We've gathered quite a stack of sources, financial reports, analyst briefings, market analysis, to give you a really comprehensive understanding. If you find this exploration valuable, please remember to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. And hey, if there's a specific company you'd like us to look into in a future episode, just let us know in the comments below.
Absolutely. It's a truly compelling topic. You've got groundbreaking science meeting, high-stakes investing. D-Wave Quantum operates in an incredibly exciting, but let's be frank, highly speculative industry. Our aim today is to sort of cut through some of that hype and distill the real investment picture for D-Wave Quantum. We want to help you understand its true potential and pitfalls by connecting the dots between market moves and the business fundamentals drawing straight from these sources.
Okay, so before we tackle that big buy now question, we need to understand D-Wave a bit better. What exactly do they do? What's their core business in this, pretty new world of quantum computing?
Right. D-Wave Quantum positions itself as a provider of quantum computing systems, software, and cloud solutions. So pretty comprehensive. They're really an early mover in commercial quantum services, offering their own hardware, yes, but also the full software stack and cloud access. We're talking about their Advantage and the newer Advantage 2 computers, their Leap Cloud platform, the Ocean open source tools, and these hybrid solvers.
Okay, let's unpack that. So it's not just making the hardware, but also the software and making it available via the cloud. That sounds like a very comprehensive approach for such a new industry. But what's fascinating here is, how does this company fit into the broader, experimental quantum computing industry?
Yeah, this raises an important question. Quantum computing itself is still highly experimental. Commercialization, that's a slow, long-term process. And you've got competitors like IBM and Google who are just, much larger and way better funded. That's a significant risk for D-Wave. But D-Wave is pushing forward. For instance, they launched their 6th-gen Advantage 2 quantum computer back in August. It features progress in things like cryogenic packaging, which is critical, and also these developer-focused quantum AI toolkits. They integrate with PyTorch, positioning themselves as a leader for the quantum software ecosystem.
Interesting. That cryogenic part sounds complicated, but essential. Now, let's talk numbers. Technology is great, but the financials matter. When we look at the financials, what stands out to you about D-Wave Quantum?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the financials really show a company very much in its developmental stage, still figuring things out. Total revenue for the trailing 12 months as of Q2 2025 was $22.28 million. Annual revenue in 2024, $8.83 million. That was only a modest, 0.79% increase from 2022.
Okay, so 0.79%. That's growth, technically. But here's where it gets really interesting. We also see these massive losses. Net income for the trailing 12 months was negative $281.54 million, a huge negative number. And their net loss in 2024 was a staggering $143.88 million. That's up 73.9% from their loss in 2023. Their earnings per share are also deeply negative. What's going on there?
Exactly. These figures point to a deeply negative profit margin. Losses are just dwarfing revenues right now. Analysts expect these high losses to continue given where the company is in its development. Now, they did report 42% revenue growth year over year in Q2 2025, which sounds good, and they hit their highest cash balance, $819 million, after a big $400 million at the market offering. But even that was overshadowed by a significant net loss, mainly driven by these non-cash warrant liability adjustments.
Right, those adjustments. Can you quickly explain what that means for someone trying to gauge the actual cash burn?
Sure. Basically, these are accounting things. They hit the reported net income hard, but it's not cash flowing out the door right now. Warrants are like options for investors to buy stock later. Because D-Wave's stock price shot up, potential future costs of these warrants increased on paper. So it inflated the loss number, but wasn't actual cash spending. The key takeaway, though, is ongoing dilution risk. They probably need more capital raises down the line, which isn't great for existing shareholders.
Got it. That makes the cash situation clear. Thanks. Okay, so let's shift from the balance sheet to the stock market. As of September 13, 2025, D-Wave Quantum's price was $17.76. What does the technical analysis tell us? What's the vibe on its recent price action?
What's fascinating here is The stock has seen just tremendous volatility, really wild swings. Its 52-week range, it stretched from just $0.87 all the way up to $20.56. That's huge. And while it's shown a really strong uptrend year to date, up over 2,000% at its peak, recent indicators suggest maybe caution. The 14-day RSI, the relative strength index, is at 67.79. That's close to 70, which is often seen as overbought territory. Its volatility is high, 6.5%, and its beta of 1.38 means it's significantly riskier, more volatile than the S&P 500 overall.
Wow, 2,000%. So a massive run-up, but some technical flags suggesting a potential breather, maybe a pullback. What about the analysts? Are they seeing these warning signs, or are they still bullish?
Well, despite those technical warnings, the analyst consensus is actually remarkably strong. It's quite striking. As of September 2025, you've got 11 or 12 analysts giving it a strong buy rating. The median price target for 2025 is around $17.33. The consensus is closer to $19.40, and some are looking as high as $30. You had recent upgrades too. Piper Sandler raised their target to $22. Rosenblatt started coverage with a $30 target. So yeah, pretty bullish sentiment there.
Yet at the same time, we see the broader fear and greed index at 39, indicating fear in the market generally. How do we square that circle?
That's a good observation. It highlights the contrast. While the broader market might be nervous, social sentiment specifically for D-Wave seems to remain bullish, though people have noted its volatility, even calling some moves meme-like, so it suggests maybe a mix. Speculative interest, chasing that momentum, combined with genuine belief in quantum's long-term potential driving the stock. It makes it tricky to predict.
Okay, so a complex picture on the market side. Let's move to what's been happening recently and what might be coming up. The past few months seem pretty active for D-Wave Quantum, right? Lots going on.
They certainly have been busy. Just this month, September, they announced their first ever QBTS Japan 2025 conference. And they highlighted an 83% bookings increase year over year in the Asia-Pacific region. That's impressive growth, though likely from a small base. They mentioned customer stories, too, from big names like Japan Tobacco and NTT Docomo. Plus, they're showing up at major TED events, Semicon Taiwan, Quantum World Congress, FinTech Nation 25, getting their name out there.
That's quite a bit of global momentum, especially in Asia. And looking back just a bit further.
In August, besides the Q2 earnings we talked about, they launched that Advantage 2 quantum computer. And they expanded into South Korea, partnering with Yonsei University and Incheon Metropolitan City, building that regional presence. July saw a real acceleration in the stock price that was partly fueled by those analyst upgrades, and also getting included in the quantum computing ETF, QTUM. That ETF inclusion is a big deal, brings in automatic buying. QTUM is over $2 billion AUM now. Oh, and they also launched those open source quantum AI toolkits back in July too, trying to get developers on board.
So lots of activity. What does this all point to for the near future? What are the key catalysts we should be watching for in the next few months?
Okay, short term. That QBTS Japan conference on September 17th. That could spark some interest, maybe new customer announcements or partnerships. Then, keep an eye on the quantum computing ETF rebalancing. That's around October 11th to 15th. Could mean more money flowing in or out. And then the big one, Q3 2025 earnings. That's set for October 28th. That'll be crucial. Investors will be looking hard for sustainable revenue growth, signs of better cash management. That's pivotal. Longer term, it's about broader enterprise adoption of quantum, progress on Advantage 2, and just continued commercialization efforts.
Right. And what about the speculative side? Any interesting rumors or whispers about potential game changers?
Yes, there's always market chatter in these cutting-edge fields. Sources hint at a few things. One big one. A potential strategic alliance with a hyperscale cloud provider. Think AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. That would be huge for distribution and credibility. There are also rumors of a quantum AI breakthrough, like actually showing speed-ups on real machine learning tasks. That would be massive validation. Then there's speculation about D-Wave, maybe landing new government funding or defense contracts. Non-dilutive funding is always good. And lastly, whispers about pilot projects in healthcare, like for drug discovery. That could open up enormous markets. Now, these are all unconfirmed rumors, you understand, but any one of them, if true, could really change the game.
Okay, so we've covered the innovation, the growth story, the numbers, the market buzz, the potential catalysts. Now let's talk about the downside. We have to balance this. What are the main risk factors investors absolutely need to consider with D-Wave Quantum?
This raises an important question, and the stock-specific risks are significant. You really can't ignore them. First off, those heavy operating losses we discussed, negative cash flow, and that ongoing dilution risk from raising more money. That hurts existing shareholders. Their path to actually making a profit. It's highly uncertain. Quantum is still developing. The market isn't fully formed yet. So you have this persistent commercial viability risk and funding risk. They need the capital markets to keep going. On the market side, there's definitely a quantum hype cycle. Sentiment can flip really fast. And the high volatility we mentioned means big price swings are just part of the deal. Plus, it's vulnerable to broader tech market downturns.
Okay, so putting it all together, the strong innovation, the potential growth versus these very real losses and significant risks. What's the overall investment thesis summary? What do you land on D-Wave Quantum?
Based on the analysis, looking at everything we've discussed from the sources, D-Wave Quantum gets an overall rating of 3 out of 10.
3 out of 10. Wow. That's quite a definitive and frankly pretty low rating, especially with all the hype and that recent stock run. Can you break down why?
Certainly. Let's look at the pros and cons. On the pros side, you definitely have strong analyst sentiment, that strong buy consensus, can't ignore that. And you had the substantial stock momentum recently, that huge year-to-date gain at its peak shows market excitement, right? However, the cons are really significant here. They carry a lot of weight. You've got extremely weak current financials, low revenue compared to massive losses, negative margins, ongoing dilution risk. The technicals, like the RSI, suggest it might be overbought, high volatility, warning of potential pullback risk. And critically, the company is just highly dependent on capital markets for funding. There's no clear path to positive free cash flow or profitability anytime soon. So fundamentally, it remains a highly speculative venture.
Okay, a 3 out of 10 based on that balance. So what does this mean for different types of investors listening? How should you approach this?
Well, for short-term trading, maybe. It might appeal to highly risk-tolerant momentum traders, people comfortable with extreme volatility, watching it closely. The analyst coverage and speculative bursts offer potential there. But, and this is a big but, with that explicit warning of a possible near-term correction, high risk for long-term investment. Based on this analysis, it's not recommended. The high funding risk, the extreme dilution potential, the very low revenue base right now, and that uncertain path to profitability, these currently outweigh the potential long-term upside from quantum computing's promise, at least for D-Wave specifically at this moment. It's just too speculative for most long-term portfolios.
A really insightful look into D-Wave Quantum. It definitely highlights that tension between incredible technology and, well, the harsh realities of finance and risk. And just a reminder for everyone listening, this information is for educational and research purposes only. It's not financial advice.
Absolutely. It's so crucial to understand, especially in these frontier tech areas. Groundbreaking tech is amazing, but that journey to actually being a viable, profitable business can be incredibly long, very complex, and filled with risk. You have to weigh the innovation against the financial facts.
So what does this all mean then looking forward? As this whole quantum computing industry matures, how do you think that balance will shift? You know, the balance between pure tech innovation and the need for actual commercial results, profitability. What breakthroughs or maybe even failures are going to define who the real leaders become in this space over the next few years? And how could that completely change the investment picture for companies like D-Wave? Something to definitely keep thinking about. Thank you for joining us on Investing Talk podcast. We look forward to exploring more fascinating topics with you next time.